Hello everyone, this is ArtinScott Productions, and today I'm going to be doing my first anime video review. Now, the anime I'm going to be talking about today will in fact be Steins. Steins is a science fiction anime, also including having it being a thriller and romantic dramatic. Now, for as far as is this anime appropriate, I would say yes, to the extent of PG-13 and higher, just because there are some themes in there that younger audiences wouldn't understand or would really be appropriate for. But for pretty much for sexual references, now there isn't really a lot of sexual references, but there are a few from time to time, with pretty much 2 ecchi scenes in the anime mainly. I won't say where and what goes on in it, just for the fact of spoilers, and part of it has to do with the main story. But either or not, it's pretty appropriate. Now, our first male character that we run into, who's in fact the main character of the story, is called Okabe Rintaro. He also refers to himself as like a nickname called Hoin Kyoma. He considers himself to be a mad scientist and genius, and wants to someday take over the world and pretty much have world rule domination. Now, the next character that we find ourselves also right at the very beginning would be the female character Mayuri. Now, she's pretty much the same age as Okabe and is also a close friend of his. The story that is told in Steins is roughly around our time now. As the story begins, Okabe and Mayuri both go over to a building where a professor gives a lecture on how time travel is possible. While Okabe does listen to the lecture, he begins to question the professor's credibility and also as to reasoning why time travel is in fact even possible. Now, as the argument is about to even escalate even more, Okabe is interrupted by a young lady who pretty much tags him on the shoulder and said, "Let's go," who's in fact also one of the other main characters of Steins, and I will give her one name named Christina. Now, Christina drags Okabe along the hall, and then she starts to ask him a couple questions. And she ends up asking him one that leaves him quite puzzled and having him think that she's from some crazy place or whatever. But then realizes who she is by a science magazine of some sort. Now, Okabe manages to escape the confrontation between the two of them and manages to be reunited with Mayuri. Now, shortly after, they end up hearing a strange sound, and Okabe ends up running up the stairs and through a few levels of the building, and then he ends up hearing some strange noises as he's going through the building, and he's kind of freaked out. He ends up going into a room and ends up finding out that that same girl that he ran into ends up being dead on the floor, with him being all shocked and surprised and scared. Okabe then rushes out of the building and ends up meeting with Mayuri once again. Now, they end up going through the streets, and Okabe, still in his mind, is still shocked at the very thing that just happened to him before his eyes. He hesitantly pulls out his cell phone, and he ends up pushing a button, which in fact causes a strange anomaly, with some numbers showing, which shows some kind of timeline sort of a thing. Now with that, he ends up noticing a strange object that appears on the same building which he came out of. After these events happen, we find ourselves in Okabe's apartment, where we also see another character that's been introduced named Daru, or with the nickname Hack, which Okabe's given him. As the story progresses, more characters will indeed pop up and show up and be very involved and affected by the events that happen in Steins. Roughly, the main plot is about them managing to discover that they're able to do time travel with a microwave oven, which in fact is in Okabe's apartment building, and that there is an organization called CERN who ends up having to be after them for this very reason. Now, if I had to range a score for Steins between 1 to 10, I definitely will give this anime a 10. One, mainly, the art style of Steins is pretty realistic looking, even though it's an anime. They've done a good job as far as their foreground, middle ground, backgrounds, things like that. It's pretty, it gets your attention, it attracts your eye to all the things that happen in the story. Also including the character development that goes on between each one of them that happens throughout the story, as in far as character conflicts between each other and within themselves as they progress. I'm also a big sci-fi nerd, and when I watched this, I thought it was brilliant. I thought that how they portrayed the story as far as science goes was pretty good. And even though this wasn't about, like, say, alien invasions or mechas fighting and stuff like that, I say this is by far still a pretty good classical science fiction film. It's original, its story's good, and I definitely recommend many people watching it. Although it does go for one season being 24 episodes and then a special episode after that. But there's also even a movie that I believe is airing in Japan. I do not know when it's going to come to the United States. I'm pretty stoked about watching it myself. And with that, I hope that this review was helpful. And also, please subscribe to my channel. I'm hopefully going to make more videos and things in the future. I also have a page up in DeviantArt, which is called ArtinScott. And I do various works of art on there, so please check that out. Also, please check out two of my friends' channels, too. Rainy Black Blood and Rattle17.
I am a scientist. It's so cool.